Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum on Highland Avenue. And waiting to be profiled are filmmaker Charles Maxwell and artist John Valadez. Charles Maxwell was born in London, attended Millfield, and graduated after 7 years with a degree in English from Southern Methodist University in Texas. He makes and watches home videos, loves to give lectures to anyone, and is here to talk about his first real film, A Field Full of Secrets. You went to graduate school? Oh, you went to graduate school in Colorado to study film. What happened?
Well, actually, I went to study physical anthropology.
Oh.
And then I segued into film when that didn't really work out for me.
And where was it?
That was University of Denver, Colorado at Denver.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
And did you stay there? Did you like it?
I did. Unfortunately, what they were teaching is not what I was interested in. I'm much more interested in ancient civilizations, UFOs, things of the metaphysical kind of persuasion, and they thought those were too sensationalist.
Really? They wouldn't teach? They didn't have a course in that?
They were not interested at all.
And that was in your that was like a master's program?
That was a master's program,
graduate?
and it let me know pretty much that it was time to move into media, into a place where I could talk about the ideas I wanted to discuss.
Oh, is that right? So
Yeah.
did they send you somewhere? Or?
No, they sent me home, in fact. Is where they sent me. And then I moved out here and pursued my interests on my own.
Did you actually make small videos, short videos, or do you just watch them?
I didn't. I spent a lot of time researching things like crop circles.
And were those all
ancient
on?
mysteries.
Those were all on. You were able to research them through videos?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. Amateur kind of filmmakers have already visited quite a few crop circles. So there is a backlog of these circles that we were able to look at.
Well, so tell us what that is, Field Full of Secrets. Field Full of Secrets, right?
Yeah, that's the film, actually, that we made, which is our investigation into crop circles.
So how did it come about?
How did it come about? I initially had seen a documentary called Crossovers from Another Dimension, which was about crop circles, very
From another
sensationalist
dimension,
title.
right?
Yeah, and I thought, well, there's definitely something worth looking at there. So we went and we spent 2 months in England investigating crop circles, and what we found was quite spectacular.
And who did you do this with?
Just my film crew, myself and my crew.
Oh, because I thought you were working with a friend who actually had made movies before.
Well, I was working with my producer, has made films before, and he is a director in his own right.
So did that make a difference for you, making your film?
He kept me honest. I was always trying to reach high for the stars, and he would keep me down to earth and say, we can't do that, it's not realistic, you have to do things step by step. So he kept me grounded very much.
But you had a lot of outtakes, didn't you?
I did, yes. Yes.
Which were great.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you say keep me honest, he must have, did you write a script?
We did. We had a loose script, but when you're doing a documentary, you always move away from the script and you try other things.
And it takes its own life?
It very much takes its own life, yeah.
So how did crop circles come into your being?
That's a good question. I stepped into one, actually, in 2009, and it very much kind of changed my life.
You stepped into it how? You were out? What were you doing?
We went to the south of England, where I had actually grown up, and we decided to look for some real circles.
So that was that was where you were familiar. You were familiar with that area.
Yeah.
You were raised there.
I was raised in the south country of England.
Did you ever see anything like that when you were a youngster?
Youngster? They would happen all the time. We took them for granted. We didn't really investigate them. So.
But did you think someone was making them?
I did. Well, we thought they might be hoaxes, most of them.
When you were a kid?
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
What I learned subsequently is that a lot of them are not hoaxes. They're actually real.
So how did you film those?
Well, they just sit there for you. They kind of show up overnight, and you look for them the next day. You get an indication of where they've come down in the landscape, and you get the permission of the farmer if it's private land, and you go and you film them.
What kind of camera do you use?
We used an HVX Panasonic, so it was the very kind of bottom level consumer.
Just one person filming
we had two, actually. We had our director of photography, Ryan Patrick O'Hara, and then we had a second camera, our assistant director.
And how long can you stay out there? I mean, each crop circle is different, right?
Yeah, they're all different. Some of them are quite small and cute. Some of them are the size of football fields. So it really depends.
So how long does it take you to film something like that?
It can take a half a day. It really depends what you're trying to establish. If you just want the simple geometry, it's very easy. If you want to do an in-depth study of what exactly is causing the circles, it can take a long time. You have to get down on your hands and knees and literally go through the dirt and look at every single stalk to see how has the circle been made.
How it's been cut?
How it's been cut? Well, there's two different techniques, actually. One is called boarding, which is quite simple. And you just take a simple plank of wood and you walk around in a circle in the middle of the night. And you can make some very elaborate but circular shapes doing this.
But you can do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. Anyone can do this. We're not interested in those ones, because those.
But how do you know the difference?
Well, there's something called. We look at the science, to answer your question. We look at the changes in the plant physiology. In the individual plants, we have something called an expulsion cavity, which is very exciting. What it means is the plant has exploded from the inside out under extreme high pressure. So it's been superheated. Something has superheated each of these individual stalks of barley or wheat.
But does it get cut then?
Well, what happens is, if this is the knuckle of the plant, it explodes outwards,
Yeah.
and then it fails slightly. So you have a slight failure in the plant.
So
they're not actually on the ground; they're standing off of the ground in a frozen position.
So that's what makes the design?
That's what makes the design. Yeah. So we're talking about a projection technology.
So there's all different kinds of designs. Right?
As many as you can think of, using any kind of geometry you can think of, have been attempted. Yes.
What do they mean? What are they telling us?
In fact, that's why I went to England. What are they telling us? Well, what we thought they were telling us, and what the film is about, is we thought perhaps within the geometry of the circles there was a blueprint for some kind of machine.
So you could see the same thing?
So what we thought, if you've ever seen the Jodie Foster film Contact, where we received from Vega some instructions on how to build a device to then travel to Vega and meet these aliens. It's not as if we thought we were getting something like that, but we did think that it was perhaps some kind of technology was encoded in this geometry. And I met an inventor by the name of Nikola Romansky, who actually was able to decode this geometry, and what popped up in front of us were literally blueprints. It was remarkable.
So those are on paper.
Those are in the film.
Paper.
Yeah, we have those blueprints. We then looked at them and we said, okay, are these really blueprints, or are these actually,
right.
Are we imagining what we're seeing here?
Right.
And we used some very strict guidelines. Again, the plants in the formations had to be all damaged in a specific manner so that we knew we weren't dealing with a hoax circle.
So somebody like you went out and cut it. And if someone like you went out and cut it, you'd use a machete or something like that?
No,
or what?
you use the board. If you use a machete, you just end up with a terrible mess. If you use these boards, and the technique is to literally stamp the crop down, and the natural weight of a grown man will cause this crop to fail mechanically. You get what's known as a green stick fracture.
Then if you're doing it fraudulently, let's say,
Yes,
I don't know how else
hoaxing.
to say it, if you're doing it fraudulently, do you draw a picture? Do they draw a picture first and then they go in and try to do it?
They absolutely do. They take it very seriously, and because they're trying to catch us out, the researchers. So they will plot them ahead of time. To do these things in the dark is really difficult. You can't see more than 20 feet ahead of you.
Yes, but if you're filming, who makes them? First I'll ask you who makes them.
Who makes them? Okay.
Yeah, who makes them?
I'd say about 80% are made by man. So in that instance, the problem's been kind of solved. Those are hoaxed circles.
Oh, I see.
It's the 20%. And see, researchers have said before, people like Andreas Muller, if one circle is real, that's good enough. Out of the tens of thousands that we had, we actually have a lot more than one circle.
How long has it been going on?
We have them. We have a wood carving in the 17th century wood carving that mentions them.
It's been going on for years.
Years? They're referred to as the mowing devil, the work of the mowing devil back in the 17th century in England.
Oh wow! The mowing devil.
But
that's
also
great.
the Zulu mention them as the circles of the gods. They're mentioned by the Native Americans in this country. So there's a long tradition of these things happening.
And is Romansky a real name? It's such a great name.
Isn't it?
Romance for this whole circle.
It is. Nicola's a real person, an amazing individual. And in fact, I have to say congratulations to Nicola because she has just finished transition. So Nicola, as an inventor working on the show, was actually becoming a woman.
Is that right?
During the
she
making
moved
of
from
the
Nicole,
well, Nicola to Nicola, I
from
suppose.
Nicole to Nicola. Is that right?
And yes, so we're very proud for Nikki for taking that step. That's a lifetime of waiting.
And has it been going on? Do you think the circles have anything to do with that?
Not on the surface, no. But I think the circles are about stepping out of the ordinary and into the sense of wonder.
So she's able to research in that way.
And so for Nicola, this was something that she was planning on her whole life, and happened kind of concurrently to the project.
Did she know about him when she was a boy?
She did, and she definitely saw something of interest there. But it wasn't until I actually said to her, "Can you take a look at these seriously?"
Okay, so you say that this happens overnight. They're making these crops overnight. If you're filming all the time, why haven't you seen somebody doing this?
There's two very good reasons for that. The first is that the hoaxes are very good and very sneaky. And
those are the hoaxsters.
The hoaxes. And the second is that the real phenomenon, and I'm not going to say who I think is making them because I don't know. I just know it's not humans on the ground. Those ones happen very quickly. In fact, from eyewitness reports, about 30 seconds for a large size formation.
And they're huge.
And they appear very quickly.
Oh, so you could just blink and they'd be gone.
Yeah, in fact, during the making of the film, Field Full of Secrets, we did do our best. We went out and on, I think, 14 stakeouts. That's 14 nights where you're disguised as a bush. And you're hoping someone's going to make a circle right next to you. And we saw nothing, but we did manage on our final night, staking out a very famous location called Silbury Hill. The sun came up, and there it was, a brand new crop circle.
You'd been there.
And we'd been there. We were right there. We didn't see it. We didn't hear it. So it's difficult.
But what happens to them? Do they disappear?
They are harvested.
Harvested.
It's rather like a Banksy work of art on the street.
Yeah, I see.
Once they're discovered, the farmers usually have a breakdown because it's a significant amount of crop. That's
they
been
get
damaged.
upset.
Of course, they get very upset. And it's only the most open-minded farmers who say, look, we're going to leave it here and we'll charge admission. And they have something called an honesty box where you put £1 in every time you visit the circle. Believe it or not, the honesty boxes get pinched as well. They go missing. So,
but that's really interesting. And how long does it take you to see it? If you just
it's up to you. There are certain circles you will get into, and I'm speaking from my experience here. I'm not going to say everyone will feel this, where you'll feel physical changes. You might get lightheaded. You might feel the need to take a nap. You might feel a sense of euphoria. The opposite can also be true. You can feel overwhelming nausea. In which case, just step outside the circle and it will dissipate.
Where are we going to see your film?
The film is currently it's available on iTunes, Amazon Instant, Vudu, and it should be coming out on some secondary platforms in a few months.
Okay, keep us abreast of what's going on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie, so much for being with us, Charles Maxwell, and we'll be right back with artist John Valadez. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. We're taping here at the Hollywood Museum in the Max Factor building, which is a historic building in Hollywood on Highland Avenue. And we're with artist John Valadez, who was born and raised in Los Angeles, graduated from East LA JC and Cal State Long Beach. Cal State Long Beach, he earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts. He's a muralist and a realist painter whose work has been exhibited in museums and galleries across the country. John has a list of awards, including a Getty Fellowship, as well as residences in France. How did you take to France after you'd lived in California all your life?
Oh, it was great. I mean, I just recently come back from a 6-week residency in Bordeaux. The first time was in the late 80s.
You have 2 times. That's pretty unusual.
Right. There's something about France. It's just I just attracted to the wine, I guess.
Of the wine. Was it the different countryside?
Right.
Well, Bordeaux was a good one, I guess.
Oh, yes, it was. Well, the first time was in '87, and it was a residency in the south of France. It's a little area called La Napoule, which is outside of Cannes and Nice and all that.
Oh, it's in the Picasso area.
Right. Yes. Oh, it was beautiful. But I was fairly young. I mean, I hardly ever traveled even to Mexico.
That's what I was wondering. How somebody from East LA, Long Beach, here you are in France.
Yeah, it was really great. And then since then I've done a bit of traveling. But this last one, which is basically this last May, June, I was there for 6 weeks. It was the Sister Cities celebration with Bordeaux and Los Angeles. It was during the wine festival. I did a very large mural for one of the big museums there. There is an exhibition. It was like Los Angeles artists and the French artists, and I was chosen to do a mural. I mean, I felt like I was 40 years old again. You know.
How did you get the residency?
I was chosen.
Did you apply? Do you apply?
No. See, those things you don't.
Somebody says John Valadez is a great muralist. Bring him to France.
Well, see, what happened was that in 2012, I had a 35-year retrospective show.
Oh, right. Tell
at
us.
the Museum of Contemporary Art in La Jolla, San Diego.
Right.
Hugh Davies put that together.
Right. And it was for all your work. It started from the beginning all the way through.
It started from the mid to early 70s up until recent times.
Into the 2000s, right.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty amazing to look at your life like that. That little boy was crazy. That guy could paint. He's painting. It was very interesting to have your work in a museum, in the entire museum. I didn't know much about it.
That's interesting. You look back and look like someone else has painted those things.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, because I remember painting them, but I do see things as I'm working. It's very intense, and then when you back away from it, I am able sometimes to see it as someone who comes in and looks at work.
Looks at something else, like it's an exhibition you're walking
to.
Sure,
right.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it was really nice, and then and that show traveled to Chicago, and it came back to Los Angeles at my old. We used to call it like a junior college. I don't think they call it junior college.
Junior college, East LAJC.
Yeah, and a lot of us have gone through there. I mean, I know the Osco people and Los Four, and there's only bless their hearts, there's only one of them left.
Carlos went there. Carlos Almaraz went there, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They were,
but were there good teachers there at the time?
Oh yes, there really was. There was always very good teachers. It was it's a very strong art department.
Oh, it was.
And then from there, I went to Long Beach because that had a very good traditional. At that time, conceptual art was just starting. We used to make fun of them because
I was going to say you weren't a conceptual artist.
No.
Far from it.
No, we were, very traditional.
Painterly.
Drawing, painting, and.
Who was teaching at Long Beach then?
Well, this guy Lincoln. I forget the guy's name. He was very good drawing and painting. One of the teachers that I was really influenced by was Maxwell Handler.
Oh, he's got great work, right?
Yeah, Max Handler, because when I was at East LA College, my instructor there, Roberto Chavez, knew him, and we went to the David Stewart Gallery. We're talking 1969.
I know, the
And saw
David
these-
Stewart on La Cienega.
Yeah,
We bought
yeah.
a Via Selmans from him
Oh,
way
yeah.
back
Oh, wow,
then.
yeah, there you go.
But you went to his gallery?
To go see Max Handler's
Oh,
he had 4 hyper-realist paintings. And they were like maybe, 8 by 8 inches.
Really
10 by 10.
small? And you went to a huge...
Well, that's because Chicanos love to paint big, I mean, we can't help it. We need attention.
That's really interesting, though. So talk about a mural. What is a mural? Is it always huge?
Well, no. I mean, public art is different than, let's say, when you go to a gallery, at least for me. You have to tell a story. I like historical themes. What was interesting about when we were doing murals, we were the answer to graffiti.
Oh, you were before graffiti.
Well, we were the answer.
You were the answer. You were like, I got it.
But there wasn't like graffiti, like picture making. It was mostly like names and.
But was there that much when you first started? Was there that much graffiti around?
In the East Side, yes.
There was.
Because there's basically this, it's this urban neighborhood thing. It's got its own, but that's gone back since the Roman times. I mean, graffiti's been, just the cave paintings.
I wasn't thinking in that respect. But your mural then made it
yes.
real, made it
Well,
acceptable.
the thing that we used to do is they used to, eventually they would hire artists like us, because there was no gallery scene also. And they would hire artists to paint the liquor store and maybe put a Pancho Villa or, Zapata, Aztec, Indians, whatever the whole historical thing. Now I find it interesting that a lot of the murals use the spray can.
Yes.
And so,
did you?
No. We did one years ago in the 70s, and it was very controversial. When I was in Long Beach, I worked for a community center, a neighborhood community center, and we used spray cans. Me and there was this artist, Magoo, Gilbert
Lujan.
Right, Gilbert
Of
Lujan.
course, I know. Magoo
Right.
is great.
Yeah, right, yeah, and he did a.
Oh, you worked with him?
Oh yes, I was very fortunate to work, because they were all like 10 years older than I was.
Oh, I see.
And so,
well, we miss him a lot. He was so fabulous.
Yeah, well, another friend that just passed away is my friend Richard Duardo.
Oh, we love Richard. Richard was here sitting in this seat.
Yeah.
We interviewed him here.
No, he was a very good friend of mine.
We loved Richard.
Yeah, he was one of my oldest friends. Jesus, it's interesting to be at this age, because a lot of friends are passing, and the rest of us, we're kind of just hanging out. We're still like.
But you're still doing you're doing your work.
Oh yeah, of course.
You're doing your work, and so have you done a mural lately?
Well, like I say, I just did the mural in Bordeaux.
Oh, in Bordeaux, right.
6 weeks.
Right.
I did a mural in 2013 or 2012 in Long Beach, and that was the most recent one in the Los Angeles region. I have other murals, but you have to get past security to see them. There's one at the Junipero Cerro office building in downtown, right on 4th between Broadway and Hill. You need to get past
I see. You have a show at Robert Berman in Bergamot Station, and you show these. Tell us that the one where the Firebird is going into the water.
Oh yeah, well that's sort of this. There's this theme that I've had.
Oh, what's the name of the show? Because I couldn't say it right.
Oh, it's Como Fregas. It's like this is Como Fregas. It's like, stop bothering me. It's basically what our mothers would tell us when we were little
like
kids.
Moving you
it's
away.
Like, Como Fregas, what do you want?
Get
Like
lost.
that. Basically, I'm actually imitating her. Like, what? Like, Como Fregas, man. And even my friends go, my mother used to say that all the time. Yeah, all of our mothers. So it's sort of this, it's this kind of this joke. And it is,
Como
I do
Fregas.
have the English translation on
So
the
it
card.
doesn't have the water element. But when I looked at all of the paintings at Robert Berman, there seemed to be a water element somewhere.
Yeah, well, I am from here. I'm from Southern California. I really like the ocean. The ocean has become a character because if you think about it, the ocean can be, like scary, violent, or it can be calm. It could be at your
This
feet.
one, big waves.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, it could. So and I really love painting water, painting like the ocean landscape, and putting human drama in it.
That's where the drama
idea.
is. So there's a car in this wave. How did that come about?
It came through time. It's basically when I had that retrospective in La Jolla, I saw all these themes, and then I would always keep to one theme here. Another thing would be like historical, allegory,
Right, I see.
portraiture. So when I saw all this stuff, and I didn't really put them together, it took me a while to realize that this is my visual vocabulary.
Oh, right.
And so now at this age here, I giving myself permission to mix some of these themes up.
This one is a very old painting.
Yes,
Do you
it is. It's
remember this?
interesting.
Tell
Yes.
us what it's kind of scary in a way.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
And I see the Rio. I see the water
right.
down
Yeah,
here.
yeah. There's a stream. This is from I think the 1980s when I was in the Victor Clothing Building for 15 years because they never raised my rent.
you were your studio was there.
Mhm. And also Lace Galleries was there.
right.
High Performance Magazine was on the 5th floor. Roy Dowell and Larry Pittman were in there.
They were in that building too.
They were in there, and so was Manuel Ocampo was in there for a while. This guy that passed away, he was really good. Andy Wilf, remember?
Oh, of course.
Andy Wilf. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you had
Remember like
it
that?
was a good community.
Yeah,
then.
and there was a lot of.
So you
artists.
painted this painting then?
There, yes, there, and then.
But what's the theme? Because I think this is a theme that you follow.
Well, yeah, well, it's basically because the streets, Broadway, in those years, I'm talking 15 years. I finally got in there about 1980, and it was a pretty interesting area, Broadway. So I see a lot of conflict, and so I put a lot of conflict in my work. I'm a very urban painter, but sometimes I like to put them into a natural landscape setting, just to show the contradiction, just what the human being does to each other, even though it's a beautiful day. I mean, just keep it that simple.
Right.
Yeah, and then I only work on something like that if I find a reason to. Like for instance, with the whole card theme, it's about road rage. I mean, just how everybody acts out.
Yeah.
Right. Acts out.
It's true. You see the waves, and you have that.
Right.
car
Well, yeah.
that-
That's also and also, Chicanos are into cars, right? I mean, there's
Right.
also that kind of like lowrider cars, and you take care of your car. I don't really do that, but I know that I use those kind of iconic subject matters for my work because I want people to look at the work and figure out what's going on. I don't really have a specific
Oh, I see.
story.
Story.
It's symbolism, visual allegory, and as I get older, I have a lot more fun now doing this stuff.
So you feel free.
Yes, I do.
And we're glad that you came and explained everything to us. Thanks,
great.
John.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for being with us today. Keep writing to JAQUINN1 at AOL.com. See you next time.